Man, I love watching our guests dance into the theme song. Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 195, Data and Accountability. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full-service CX and UX consultancy and agency. Check us out at the always improving customercentricity.com. And before we jump into today's show, I just want to, as always, thank our Patreon supporters at all levels who are donating to our channel and our community in small and large ways. And thank you so much for your support. And you too can join Patreon both for free. But if you join at the at least $1 a month level, you get lots of cool early access and perks. Hello, Ana Lucia. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Joe. It's been a while. So I'm going to bring in our super special guest because when I think data, I think about Oz. So I'm going to press this button and say, welcome, Oz du Soleil. And hey, tell us who the heck you are.
Well, I'm Oz du Soleil coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada, 7 miles from the Strip, where I just moved here. And I'm glad to be here. Oh man, and it's was 6 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you for waking up early for
I'm
us.
Yeah. Well, I'm Oz du Soleil, and my YouTube channel is Excel on Fire. I am also a LinkedIn instructor where I have about 12 Excel courses on the platform, and they're very good courses. And I need to let you know that December 7th, 8th, and 9th in Las Vegas, in the Luxor Hotel, there's going to be the Excel World Championship. And you can attend, right? Just go to fmworldcup.com and click on the training camp, and you can attend. There will be 3 days. The final day is going to be the championship, but the first 2 days will be Excel classes, and I'm going to be teaching as well. So hopefully I will see you in Las Vegas.
That is super awesome.
And there's there's a discount code, Excel on Fire, all one word.
Excellent. All one word. Okay, great. So I came up with the idea for this show when Oz posted something just that really struck me on LinkedIn, and I'm going to read it and then we're going to talk about it. And Oz wrote, I was recently asked what I wish I'd known early in my days as an analyst. One thing that comes to mind is how I eventually discovered that I was either a hero or the devil for people who just wanted information or the numbers turned out in their favor. Yay! A rep earned their bonus. A student got their certification. A VP got confirmation that a client wasn't spending as much as they claimed. And then there's the devil. I've discovered that the reports coming out of the system are crap and we need to stop everything and do massive correction. A major sale came in after the cutoff and those commissions will be next payday, not today's payday. The numbers you thought were right and in your favor and mine were wrong is because you pulled data from the wrong table in the database. And underneath all of that is the question about accuracy. That's stressful. It ain't easy to have given someone good news, then have to go back and say, well, actually. But that, too, is part of being a solid, reliable analyst. Do not hope an error won't get caught or try to shift the blame. Own it, correct it, and put it in safeguards for prevention. In the long run, those situations helped more than they hurt. So here we are. And of course, we're taking your questions. So if you have thoughts or questions on data and accountability and what happens when we're working from bad data by accident or on purpose. And I guess one of my questions is when I think about your post, I think about the personal strength it must take to have to go to someone and say, your information is wrong or my information was wrong. How do we find that strength?
That I don't have an answer for, right? Because I will say that is a muscle that has to get developed, because I would constantly find bad stuff in the data. A report that's been used for years, but it doesn't reflect business rules that changed last year. And so everything that we've been doing in the past year is messed up somehow. Now we got to assess, how bad, what are the ramifications. And oftentimes I would be the one sitting in the cubicle. Nobody else is thinking about this, but the numbers looked funny to me. And then so I start digging and then uncover an old report, something like that. And I would go to my director, I'd go to vice president of sales and say, look what I found, and it's not good. And that's where I felt like the devil sometimes was I'm unleashing something on somebody that they were not expecting, and it's got serious ramifications to it. If that happened once, twice, yeah, it would have just been hard. But then when it happened over and over again, I began to develop a muscle of getting up out of my chair and going to tell somebody, hey, guess what? But I felt, well, I'll tell you, when I was encouraged to apply for the job as a commissions analyst, it was my director who suggested that I apply. And I said, that's in accounting. I'm not an accountant and I don't know Excel all that well.
At the
And
time.
he, right at the time, and he and the person who hired me, they both said, we can teach you Excel. We can't teach you to get up off your ass and go look when the numbers look funny. So in one way, it's kind of built into the job, at least there, that they know there'll be mistakes. They're made, mistakes uncovered, and we need somebody who has that integrity and backbone to get up and say something. It's not easy.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that that company recognized the difference between what we might say is a trainable skill, like aspects of Excel or pivot tables or something, some other piece of software, and your personality or character that is probably less likely to be trainable, coachable, or changeable.
Right, right. And there was a guy in New Jersey. He worked for the state of New Jersey, and he kept trying to arrange for me to come speak. That never happened, but he was telling me how he leads a team of analysts who are not curious,
Mm.
because he said there's certain patterns that lead up to this bad thing. And I don't want to get into all of that, but he was saying his analysts are smart. They're good. They've got all the tools, but they don't get up off their ass when things look funny.
We sometimes on this channel talk about the difference between being an order taker, like, hey, just get me the report, just get me the numbers, and
Hmm.
people who are problem finders and problem solvers a little bit more in their soul. Do you think maybe there's a connection there, or how would maybe you kind of put it into different buckets?
Okay, so I think we're starting to get into the real world context of things. Because I have to tell the truth that I was seen as a troublemaker because I would get up. I started in customer service. I've got somebody with a complicated problem, and I need to go talk with somebody in another department. So I put my customer on hold to then walk past my supervisor's desk, who asked me, Where are you going? We got 20 calls in queue. So I'm going over to the billing department because this person on hold has this complicated issue. But we got, and said, I know we got 20 calls in queue. And when I get back, there might be 30. And so I was seen as a troublemaker in that regard. But I eventually had a director who saw the value in that I was really trying to solve problems, and I was digging and I was noticing a consistent problem was people who had multiple profiles in the database. And then their curriculum was sprinkled across those multiple profiles. And so then I would uncover those and then let the DBA know so that he could do whatever he had to do to merge these profiles into one. Um, and I found out later that yes, there was an effort to fire me, but
Hmm.
my supervisors could never put the case together. And then the new director came in and saw that I was actually adding value, and he put me in a different role. Um, so I'm kind of losing my train of thought here.
That's okay. We have a wonderful comment from a live viewer named Latanya Christian, who's only one of my
Oh,
best friends in the world. And she's written, complacency is a
yeah.
challenge. Problem solving is scary to most. Bringing solutions to light is a form of change that some might find intimidating. That reminds me, Oz, to talk
And
to you
yeah,
about when do we decide to die on that hill? How do we pick our battles?
well, and see, I think of this as different things. There is picking a battle, and then there is just having the integrity of saying these numbers are messed up. Um, to say that, okay, for years, these four courses were required. And then last year, they said in these 15 states, this fourth course is optional. But nobody told the people who made the report, or we all assumed that somebody made that change in the report. And then complaints compile, and then I noticed the pattern that nobody changed the damn report. Now we got to go back and reevaluate everything so that going forward, we might even have to change a process, right? But that's integrity, I feel, versus picking a battle, like having an irritating, abusive supervisor. Okay, so do I want to go to HR with everything? Do I want to go to the director with everything? You got to pick those battles. But when the data was all messed up, and, and we're dealing with people's senses,
Oop, sorry, can you still hear and see us?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Okay, well, don't close your
Can you hear
browser
and
or we
see
lose
me?
you. Oh, yes, we hear and see you.
Can you hear? Okay, okay, then I'm gonna just keep talking.
All right.
So it was more a thing about personal integrity than about picking battles and developing that muscle to show up unannounced in somebody's office with some bad news.
Yeah, and that reminds me also to think about corporate values. So many companies claim we care about honesty, integrity, transparency. But then when an employee actually shows some of that, that person's the
Right,
troublemaker.
right, right. And I've got a friend going through this now, um, being demoted out of nowhere, and then seeing the writing on the wall and seeing that she's got to find a new job. And so I do not glamorize or present myself as this guy with a cape saving the day all the time. No, 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 no. Because some people just they don't want to deal with things. Um, they can be embarrassed because they're reporting certain things to their higher ups, and then here comes this analyst saying that is not true. Well, throw the analyst under the bus, right? That is entirely possible. So this is uh, this is where sometimes I joke and get a hyperbolic about how dangerous, how threatening, how data analysis is full of treachery. It can very well be full of treachery, depending on who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with and what's at stake.
Yeah, and the numbers that you bring to light.
Yep, yep, yep. Because one time I saw that some numbers looked really low, and then I went in and I found out, oh, the report is not reflecting a detail in the compensation plan where refunds up to 1 year back will go against the
Your
commissions
commission.
payment. But any refunds that are further back, they should not. And so I noticed after I went digging, there were runs leaking into the report that shouldn't have. And so I went to talk with my director, and I showed him that we owed somebody $100, somebody else we owed $15, and he said, "Look, we don't have time to chase this down." But I wasn't so sure because we had about 50 sales reps. Oh, we did owe two of them over $5,000. Now, some people we owed as little as 26 cents. But when I went back to my director's office, I said, "Hey, I've been digging into this. I told you to leave that alone. We got other things to do." And then I told him, "We owe these two $5,000. And that's when he said, "Go ahead, dig, make this your priority." Because now, you don't want the sales team to find that out, right? Because if they bring a problem to us, now we look like, were we hiding something? Are we incompetent? What's going on? And so he told me, "Go full speed ahead on this." And then he sent out an email to the sales team saying, "Okay, you might see something different in your next commissions, but here is something that we found, an obsolete report, and we are cleaning it up." And I liked the way that was handled. But the thing was, when he first told me to leave this alone, something in me said, I know, is it any worse than $100 here and there? And sure enough, it was.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. I love all your stories, of course. So, knowing that we've only got about 5 or 7 minutes left to the show, I want to ask you, whenever I talk to
Yes.
someone about accountability and I say, what are good ways to hold someone else accountable? Say someone else, let's just imagine a scenario in which someone makes a deliberate manipulation of data or report, and we've caught that, and let's say it's significant in some way. What are good or bad ways to try to hold that person responsible or accountable?
Okay, so I haven't dealt with deliberate, so
I
I don't
have.
want to get into that. You have, I have dealt with blunders.
Okay.
I've dealt with people taking shortcuts. Um, and there's this difficult, because not exactly this situation, but very similar. I found something somebody was doing that I found unethical. I went to HR
Oop, hopefully that's just a small internet blip.
for you.
Oop, sorry.
So I was made the bad guy in that. So rather than thinking about picking a battle, um, I have to ask myself, if this backfires on me, am I ready to deal with the consequences?
Oop, sorry, I'm having an internet blip. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. I keep I have a little thing in my Windows that tells me what my speed is in every second, and I know when the blip is me. So sorry about that. Yeah, so you're talking about going to HR, and that's hard. A lot of people tell me I don't want to go to HR. They don't care. They're not going to help me. They're not going to back me. Have you ever found any other options or routes on that one?
Um, it all depends on the situation, and I can think of things like, well, I am going to go run my analysis and see what we come up with. And If mine is way different, or if it's the same, then we deal with it that way. Um, but I have found that when I've used data rather than just wagging a finger, data does have more influence. Wagging a finger, you just look difficult, right? But having data has helped a lot, and that's where I first saw the power of data and knowing Excel was when I sent some data to the president of the company, and he took me seriously and didn't just see me as a troublemaker. But showing up with data, that helps.
Yeah, and Latanya says documentation is key. Keep records of your efforts. When the finger pointing starts, you have the ammunition you need to support your position. Yeah, I often advise people who are part of my community or watch our webinars or shows, and I say whenever you present something, I personally believe you have to present it as unemotionally as possible, even though that's hard for people sometimes because it can feel like
Yes.
an emotional issue. But sometimes the other people just hear or see the emotions and they're not paying attention to the data or the warnings.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I've had to tell the truth that I suck as an employee because I can't always be unemotional. I can't be controlled, biting my tongue, playing all this treacherous games and stuff. I have had some hard times as a, you know, solo practitioner, but I've had more peace, I felt like, because working in a company and having to deal with all that stuff, man. And yes, they talk about integrity and being customer focused. Well, they're not customer focused. And I just listened to a podcast where this guy was talking about how he started hearing from the investors about you got to make a profit at some point. And so what do? Start showing ads and raising prices. That's not customer focused. That's investor focused. And you know, when you working for a company, you got to deal with all of that stuff. And I hated it.
Yeah, I think that's probably a whole other adventure for you and
Yeah.
me to talk about what's going on with ads and the people, how companies use our data. I think we could spend 2 hours on that. But today we just had the gong go off, which means we're in our final minute of the show. Oz, you get before I give you the last word, I just want to remind everybody to have a good weekend. And our next show will be Tuesday, where I'll be doing Q&A AMA live. You can send in your question ahead of time at deltacx.com/links. If you are a Patreon at mid-level or higher, you can send it in on the Discord and you get priority white glove service. And also to remind people that next Wednesday is our way too exciting webinar on the new version of the quadrant. If you watched the earlier show on the quadrant over in the other YouTube channel, you're going to love the new version, 12-inch dance remix. We've made it longer and better. So you can sign up for that. Oh, I don't have it on this screen. It'll be it's not on the closing screen either. I got to fix all my new screens. cxcc.to/events. And you can RSVP for all of our upcoming events as you see fit. So then, Oz, last word to you. What do you want to tell the viewers and anything else you want to plug?
Well, I'll just remind you about the Excel World Championship at the Luxor Hotel, December 7th, 8th, and 9th. Hopefully, I will see you here in Las Vegas and tell you, as analysts, I was glad to talk about this and share these stories with you because I often found those things were harder than what I had to do with the data. Because a lot of times, all we want in the data is I need a list of the 15 top donors. Okay. But then what if you have to deal with people who don't like what that result was? All of their not favorite people are in the top 5 of the 15, or their favorite people aren't in the top 15 at all. And now you got to deal with that. How do you know this is right? How would we know if it was wrong? I don't know. Hold on, go out of my office. I got to call somebody. And whoo, you got to deal with that.
That's in all of our jobs. So keep breathing.
Yes,
and remember, everybody,
breathing.
Excel on Fire on YouTube. Subscribe. Go subscribe on the. Are you still putting videos on YouTube?
Yes. I'm in the middle of this move. I've got one video that I've started editing, and I do need to finish edit. I edited it, started it before I left Portland, and I got to Las Vegas just last Thursday. So I've been in Las Vegas for 8 days, and I've still got all kind of boxes and stuff. But I've got my kaleidoscopes. Yeah, they are here with me.
Yeah, everybody can follow you on Instagram for more about kaleidoscopes.
Yep.
What's your Instagram?
Right.
Do you want to give out your Instagram handle?
Oh, I don't use Instagram much. I think it's Data and then XL.
Right. I think it's Data and then the letter X and the letter L. And that's where you can follow Oz's travels, some Excel stuff, and some hot sauce stuff, and a lot of kaleidoscope stuff.
That's right.
Getting to know you as a person. Malika says, I love listening to Oz's stories. Thank you both. Thank you, Malika, for coming. Thanks to everybody who came live. We're going to say goodbye for now. Have a super weekend, and we'll see you live here Tuesday. Thanks again, Oz. See you soon.
All right.
Bye.